Hi guys, John from Paving Stone. I want to talk to you quickly about deposits. Why do contractors like to use them? What does it mean for our business? And what does that mean to you if you're a client? Cheers. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is just the terminology deposits. All right. So a lot of us, or a lot of us, I see a lot of people say that deposits are non-refundable. That is a myth, all right? That is not the case. Certainly, a deposit might be used to secure a bespoke special item order, in which case that would be non-refundable, obviously, because you've had to secure that. But if it's just a case of you've taken a deposit, that is refundable. You have to prove reasonable cost. You cannot just say to a customer, like if they cancel a week before, you cannot just say, I'm keeping all your deposit. That's unfair, it's unreasonable. If it ever went to court, if it ever got litigation, that would be the viewpoint of the court, that, you know, customers are not experts in business. There's a certain amount of pleading ignorance in there, and the court will decide what is fair and what is reasonable, and it's up to you to prove that. So that terminology aside, what a lot of people are doing, and certainly I'm one of them, is we change that terminology from a deposit to a mobilisation fee. Now, by calling that a mobilisation fee, that implies that there are costs for me to book your job in, right? And some of those costs reasonably would be creation of contracts, creation of a CDM. It might be using some money to secure product. It entirely depends on your business, and just like the video I did about pricing, a lot of these ideas, or a lot of these people that want X amount up front and stuff like that, that's all down to their business and it's their terms. As long as you've got that in your contract or in your terms and conditions and it's presented to the customer, those are your terms and that's your right. You have to bear in mind though, it's quite often a balancing act between what do you want compared to what a customer might be willing to pay, and you have to try and find that reasonable middle ground. So for me, and I can only use myself as an example, for me what happens is once I've gone out and I've given a quote to that customer, they've then accepted that quotation, I then ask for a 10% of the value of the quote for a mobilisation fee. So that triggers the creation of your contract, of your CDM, of any particular bits that I might need that might be special to that job. Maybe access is a bit poorer, whatever, and sometimes possibly securing product. But the main thing for me, that 10% mobilisation fee, or down payment if you like, for me that shows that the customer is now invested in using my services, which means that I can build my diary, which means that I can pay my guys that are working to put food on their table. It means that we've got some security going forward. If the customer was to cancel the job a week or two before we're due to start, I'm going to deduct some costs from that, and some of those costs will be for scheduling. You know, I've allowed for men to be there at that time. Of course, I can't charge their labour. That's ridiculous. We bring our other jobs forward, but there's a cost for me to do that. There's an admin cost, there's phone calls, stuff like that. It might not be a lot, but it's money that I would be entitled to withhold from that mobilisation fee should that customer cancel on me at the last minute. So think about our change in terminology, deposit to mobilisation fee. So I use that example that I take 10%. I see a lot of people that have different methods for their business, and that's absolutely fine. Some people ask for a bigger deposit or fee up front. Some people might have no fee up front, but on day one of the work they want 40-50% the cost of the work. Look, everybody's got different businesses, different setups. I think the key thing is to remember that for the vast majority of us contractors, we're out working to put food on the table for our family, just the same as everyone else is out working to put food on the table for the family. I think sometimes you see these ridiculous arguments that people say, well, if you're taking a deposit, you're no good at your business, you should be able to finance all of that. And, you know, yeah, there could be an argument in there that you should be able to finance it, but that's not what it's about. You're not a bank. You're not there to credit that customer for the work. For me, a much better, much more reasonable working practice is to have an agreed payment plan. And now that payment plan, again, depends on your business and how you work. You could have various stages of payments that you have agreed with your client as part of your contract, which is signed off. Okay, for me, those stages tend to be points of progress within the work. So we take our 10% mobilisation fee. Day one, we're going to normally getting into groundwork, so you're doing your dig out and stuff like that. So you've got to organise maybe a digger, maybe skips, board out the drive. You know, there's a certain amount of work that you need to do just for that first phase. So then I'm going to say to the customer, right, that's stage one. Once we've done all the dig out, everything's been removed from site, I would like X amount for my stage one payment. I'll then move on from that. So stage two payment then might be that I've put all my groundworks in, my MOT, concrete base, drainage, all of those kind of like underground works that we have to do to prepare for the paving. Once that's in, that's my stage two payment. That way, it's like a pay as you go. You know, the customer's secure, I'm secure. If they pay me for stage two on a Friday, because that's where we're at, and then something happens at the weekend and we fall out and I don't want to go back and they don't want me back, we're all good. Everybody's paid up to date. I've been paid. Customers got, you know, a tangible result for what they've already paid for. So nobody's lost out. It's a sensible way to do it. So I would encourage people. We see quite a lot of people like having problems, like, you know, maybe the customer doesn't agree for that deposit, that mobilisation fee. Maybe they won't agree to your payment terms. It's always a bit of give and take. You've got to bear in mind as well, for some customers, they hear horror stories and they're, you know, they might be a bit nervous, and rightly so, about handing over a large chunk of money. So communication is key. Paperwork is key. Making sure you've got clear terms, you've got a clear contract, and you can avoid a lot of these like unspoken issues that people just assume and then suddenly become a problem for everybody. The main reason for me, whilst I will take those stage payments and whilst I will take that mobilisation fee, is cash flow. All right, cash flow is king for any business. I don't care how big or small you are, cash flow is king. So the more regularly you can get money into your business, the easier you can help budget for costs and things like that. You know, and you can start making sure that you're running your business as efficiently as you possibly can. That's not to say that you might choose, some of you might choose, do you know what, morally for me, I do the work and then I'll bill it all at the end. That's fine. Again, it's down to everybody's business. But what we need to be really mindful of is there is risk to customers, there is risk to contractors. So the more we can communicate, the better the paperwork we got together, the more of these things make sense. Let me know what you think. Do you take deposits or do you take mobilisation fees? What does your payment structure look like? Why do you do that? Let's have a conversation. John, Paved and Stone. Cheers. Like and subscribe.